Welcome everyone. My name is Karen Goulet. I am the Executive Vice President for Mass Youth Soccer. I'm the president of the Middlesex Youth Soccer League. I founded and started many years ago my first TOPSoccer program after having previously been in the world. When I was in college, it was called Circle K at that time. And there's a history to Circle K. So TOPSoccer has been something that I've been involved in for a number of years, and want to welcome you to this, our kickoff session for the fall 2022 season. We've got some definite agenda items to review, which we'll get into, but after we have some quick introductions and want to kind of call a couple people in order for introductions. First, let's stay local in Massachusetts with the other two designated coordinators here in Mass, Tammy and then John. And then after John, if we can go to Pete.
Okay. My name is Tammy Endo. For those of you who don't know me, I am the technical department manager at Mass Youth Soccer. Part of my responsibility, I am the program manager for urban and underserved programming, which TOPS falls under. So I'm enjoying my time working with the TOPS programs, and I'm here to answer any questions or provide you guys with any help that you need along the way through the seasons. Just feel free to reach out to me at Mass Youth Soccer.
Thanks, Tammy.
All right. I'm John Renone. I am with the King Philip Soccer Association, and I am also a board member with Mass Youth Soccer. Been running our TOPS program for just over 12 years now with King Philip, and now working closely with Karen and Tammy.
Thanks, John. So before we leave our local coordinators, representatives, just want to clarify, Tammy has been an absolutely invaluable resource and adjunct to our entire TOPSoccer effort in Massachusetts. Prior to her joining our effort, we didn't have as much coordination and structure and organization, and she's brought all that to the programs, and so therefore we're in a much better place to even expand the number of programs we already have. But I wanted to segue quickly, and Pete Busa is on the line. Pete, if you could introduce yourself and tell us who you are in the TOPSoccer world.
Okay, my name is Pete Busa. I am the East Region Director for TOPSoccer. I handle basically any TOPSoccer issues from Virginia to Maine. Been involved with soccer for over 30 years, and it's just what I do. I'm here tonight to really just listen, to find out what's going on in Massachusetts, which we already know is doing a great job. And just if anybody has any questions, they can reach out to me anytime they wish.
Thanks, Pete. We appreciate that. So how many states are included in the East region, that territory you just mentioned?
It's like 16.
Okay. So the United States is split up into 4 regions as far as youth soccer is concerned, U.S. youth soccer is concerned. So Pete is our chair for the East region, and there's a lot of states that roll up to you. So thanks for joining us. Just in no particular order, Ben, we started to hear from you early on. Do you want to introduce yourself, and then we'll go to Dan, and then Paul P, and then Paul T?
We get a bunch. Yep. Karen, I don't know if you can see everybody. We've got Dan, Tracy, Ben, Travis,
yep,
Jack, and Paul P. Yep.
Got it.
Yep, so I'm Ben Quinto, Sudbury, Massachusetts. This will be our initial session coming up in the next couple of weeks. It's kind of frantic right now, getting everything organized, including like a bathroom for the field, but everything is coming together, and the community's really coming out to help, so it's been good so far.
Welcome and thank you. Dan, you want to go next?
Okay, yeah, sure. I'm Dan Hastings. I'm with Auburn out here in Central Mass, next to Worcester, and I've been a board member and coach with Auburn Soccer since I think 2005, and then I started the TOPS program here in town in I think 10 years ago, 2012. And
Dan's a veteran. You've been a steadfast TOPSoccer champion for many years.
Yeah, we've been around a while. I have had quite a few. Big retention for our players and coaches as well. I am at a point right now where I'm transitioning back to the beginning, where the people who started with me have aged out or gone other directions, and I'm just trying to start over again. I started
Great.
with 8 players, went up to 25, and now I'm back down to 8. So I'm kind of building back up again.
We're going alphabetically here, and folks, if you've just joined, the next person up, if you could give a quick intro, is Jack, and then we'll go to Paul E.
Okay, Jack Steele. I'm from Swampscott. I'm on the board of Essex County Youth Soccer. I'm not quite sure what my title is, but I'm supposed to help with TOPSoccer, so that's why I'm here.
Paul P., whereabouts are you from?
Hi, folks. Wakefield, Mass. So I've been with that organization since 2009, just in a coach capacity with all my 4 kids. And I run Challenger baseball here in Wakefield for several years, and someone tapped me to take a look at our TOPSoccer program, which this will be its second year. I didn't have anything to do with it. Last year was kind of quasi-run by our Boys and Girls Club, and so we're trying to, among other things, get that program to tap into this nice infrastructure so that
Great.
the Boys and Girls Club doesn't feel like it needs to do things on their own and not take advantages of the opportunities that are offered here.
Well, thank you and welcome. This will be Wakefield's second foray into TOPSoccer. Dave Dubé and his daughter actually started something a good 6-7 years ago,
Oh, okay.
as far as I recall. So there is a little bit of history there, but great, you're at the right group. We'll help you.
Thanks.
Pete already introduced himself. We have Tom, Tracy, and then Travis.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tom Weich. I'm the TOPSoccer coordinator in Malden Youth Soccer. I've been involved with TOPSoccer in Malden for the past 7 years or so. And in the past month or so, we've actually had a huge increase in player registrations that's far exceeded anything we've had in the past 7 years. So what right now, the challenge we're dealing with right now is just trying to find enough volunteers to work with all these kids that have registered.
You guys do a great job. Thanks, Tom. Welcome. Tracy, and then we'll close up with Travis and intros.
Hi, so I'm Tracy Jones. I'm here in Norwood. I've been on the board of Norwood Youth Soccer for I don't even know how long, but we started the TOPS program back in 2009. Initially as part of the Challenger program. The Challenger program has been running in Norwood for 30 years now, and they had pretty much all the other sports but no soccer. So they reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to start the program, which I did. And it's been running great ever since. It varies from year to year as to whether or not I need volunteers, as I mentioned earlier. Like Dan, I do get a high retention, and so those kids have grown with me over that period of time, and I still have many of them, thankfully. But yeah, they do get older, and I'm having the same issue with bringing in new ones. But we'll see how it turns out this year. But it's just fun. I love it.
Good stuff. All right, Travis, bring us home.
Hi, everyone. I'm Travis Baggett. I'm the vice president with Arlington Soccer Club and the coordinator for our now relatively new TOPSoccer program that we launched in the spring as one component of multiple club-wide initiatives focusing on diversity, equity, and inclusion. So we're entering our second TOPSoccer season now, and excited to be up and running.
Nicely done. You're in season 2 or season 3?
This will be our second season. We did spring season, so now we're
Great.
launching a fall season.
Great. And then I think I missed one. Paul, are you still on with us?
I am. Hi, everyone. My name is Paul Telpson. I'm the president of Bridgewater Youth Soccer Association. We actually have a TOPS program that's been running for a few years now. But from doing some research, I just wanted to make sure that my program is represented here. As we look to stand the program up and do a few things with it as we look for a new coordinator.
Great. Well, hopefully we can be able to help you with that. I'm going to screen share for tonight's presentation. We don't expect to be keeping you more than an hour this evening, and have some topics that range in importance and priority, but also want to spend any time talking about struggles and success, which you're going to see down towards the end, particularly for those of you who are starting new programs. So why don't we get right into things? I'm going to pass it over to Tammy to kick us off.
Great. We are going to start tonight with registration. For those of you, I know a few of you are on our workshop series calls back in March for the spring session. We touched upon registration and talked about how it was not mandatory last spring, but it would be mandatory come fall. So here we are, mandatory fall 2022 for the 2022-2023 season. So what we have asked is that all TOPS players, coaches, and buddies are registered with Massachusetts Youth Soccer annually. This was not always the case, but for two major reasons, we're asking that this is now common practice. The first is risk management, obviously. If a player or a coach or a buddy gets hurt on the field, we need to have that registration information. They need to be registered with your program and with us, so that our insurance carrier will cover them in the event we need to submit an insurance claim. And the second would be for player data, and generally, that just helps us get a good idea of what our numbers are in our TOPS community across the state. It helps us build partnerships and gain sponsorships with outside entities, as well as it gives us information so we can apply for grants to get some funding for the program statewide. This is not really heavy lifting, and your registrars should be able to do this because the registration will be handled the same exact way that your recreation programs and your travel registration is handled. So I know in the past some of you are doing paper registrations because not all of you are registering through your links and whatnot, but what we're asking is that you set up a formal registration process, whether it be through, if you're a Club Connect user, what would happen is you would set up the TOPS program as a program, just like a travel program or your recreation program. You'd send the link out to your families. They'd be able to register through that link, and they set up their account. They'd register for the program at no cost. If you have no cost, there would still be a service fee. If you're charging, it would be the same service fee that you had in the past. That file would then be, if your systems are integrated with ours, that file would be uploaded to our registration portal, and Rachel would handle that. Your registrars would be also submitting a fee submission form. They would not include the TOPS players on their fee submission form because at Mass Youth Soccer, we do not charge for TOPS participants. So that they would not be included in the count that goes to Rachel. The sports, if you're using Sports Pilot or Admin Sports, you would have to add these players to the file that's being uploaded to the registration portal manually, because those systems don't integrate with our system at the Mass Youth Soccer office. In order to designate your players differentiate your players, I should say, from the recreation and travel players, you would be registering these players with a player code of TS. Now, if you're a Club Connect user and I was aware of that you're running a program, in the spring we worked with Stack Sports to ensure that the TS code was turned on for all your programs. If you have changed over from Sports Pilot or Admin Sports since last spring, please let me know so I can make sure that that code is also turned on for your organization. For those of you who are manually uploading your file because you're a sports pilot or an admin sports user, you would make sure that these players were designated with a TS. Because again, they need to use this to reconcile your fee submission form when it comes into the office. Again, players, coaches, and buddies are not charged for, so you're not paying the $22 registration fee for those folks. Okay, Karen, next slide. Does anybody have any questions on any of that at this point? Because I know it's kind of confusing if you're not doing the registration yourselves.
Well, I think in Auburn, I think we're using Sports Connect.
Yep.
So is that?
That's yeah, Sports Connect, Club Connect. So I'll double check, Dan, but I'm pretty sure that we had that code turned on for you in the spring. You didn't just switch over to them, did you?
No, this is our third season, I think.
Yeah, so you should be all set up. So you should be able to set that your registration program. When they set up divisions, you can set TOPSoccer as a division for people to register for.
Yeah, because I'm not the registrar, so I have no idea what they do.
Yeah.
But I did notice that they had some difficulty with registering volunteers who do not have a driver's license.
Yeah, that's a whole different ball of wax, but
Yeah.
that's a risk management thing, and that's because of the Corey requirements. So,
Right.
that I can't help you with, but
Oh no, I'm not looking for. Yeah.
yeah,
Good.
no. So
yeah, that's fine.
But that shouldn't be an issue for TOPS, and we'll go through that. So, for coaches, your coaches, when registered, coaches aren't registered through, are no longer registered through Club Connect or, excuse me, or through Sports Pilot or Admin Sports. Mass Youth Soccer now requires that all coaches only register using the adult registration process. And I put the link here to the adult registration process information on our website. It takes you through that. But basically, the coach would log on, create an account. This is where they have to put in their license information because it triggers a Corey check. And then this is where they'll complete their safe sport requirements as well as their concussion training. So, again, the TOPSoccer coaches are not going to be included in the count for adults when the fee submission form is sent up to Rachel. Now, buddies, we have buddies in two classifications. You have buddies that are over 18 and buddies that are under 18, and they're both handled a little bit differently. For the over 18 buddies, they will complete the adult registration process just like they were a coach. So if the buddy plays for your town or club, not cub, they would not need to complete this again, because if they're over 18, they are required to do the adult registration so they can do the safe sport training. If they do not play for your town or club, they would need to log into their existing account on Sports Connect and add your program to their profile. So say, Dan, I'm a kid who plays for Worcester Youth Soccer, and they don't have a TOPS program, so I'm gonna come over to Auburn to help out. I'm registered with Worcester, but not Auburn. You would need me to complete the registration process just to log into my account and select Auburn as a secondary organization that I am affiliated with. If a player is under 18 and they play with your program, do not register them again. Do not do anything with them. They're already registered as a player. So the risk management piece is covered, and we do not need them on a file anywhere else. If they play with another program, so again, I'm a Worcester player volunteering in Auburn, you will need to register me in Auburn if I'm helping there. You wouldn't have to pay for me as a player because you're going to use the code, the TS code, which signifies that I'm a TOPSoccer. It says TOPSoccer player, but technically you're a buddy. So that's how on our end we can see that, Auburn submitted a file. They have 100 players. 20 of them have a TS designation, so I'm only going to charge you for 80 people. So that's pretty much how that works. I know that's a lot to take in, and it is confusing. Does anybody have any questions? I went over it pretty quickly. Anyone?
Stop sharing for a minute in case people do. It may be maybe a question to you, Tammy, around particularly Sudbury starting fresh and it's brand new. They're not already integrated in Sports Connect or don't know what platform registration system Sudbury uses. I'm just using Sudbury as an example. What's the best thing to do? Should they call you? Should they call our risk management support person?
So the first step would be to talk to your registrar and figure out what you're using. If you're using Club Connect, give me a call and I will make sure that the code gets turned on for Sudbury if it hasn't already. And then, we can work with you to make sure that if there's any questions as far as setting up links or whatnot to get you squared away. And the people at Stack are also, I'm sure you have a contact at Stack. I know I work with them for other programs I set up. They're very helpful with getting links set up there. As far as admin sports and sports pilot, again, I know there's been a little bit of difficulty getting that squared away on their end, but it's manually entering the information if you can't do a registration link on the registration file that gets manually uploaded to our registration portal. So I would start with your registrar first. And if they have questions, I'm happy to answer them and work through that with them.
Great.
All right. The next is risk management. So this is just a note that all TOPSoccer coaches, buddies over 18 will need to register with Mass Youth Soccer as a volunteer and complete all risk management requirements. This is a link here to the adult registration process. So there's a lot of information there. Whether you're a returning user, if it's a player. So that link and the files that Mary's got set up on that page are very, very helpful. If there are questions, because I know a lot of times people who are players who are now going to be buddies, they maybe need to be separated from their adult account. So there's steps for that, and your risk managers and your registrars should already know how to do that. But if they don't know how to do that, Mary or myself could probably help. Mary could definitely help you, and I had to do it over the summer for another program that I was running, the Goals program. So I can probably assist you a little bit, but I'm going to guarantee Mary is way more helpful with this than I am, because that's what she does all day. TOPS players who are over 18 and are playing with players that are under 18. An accommodation or exemption from the safe sport training is available for these players who will be 17 years of age or older on or before December 31st of the current playing season, who will be participating in a classification that allows minor athlete players who are not able to take the required safe sport training as provided by the U.S. Center for Safe Sport because of cognitive disabilities. So basically, if you're 18 and above, they're required to, and playing with minors, they're required to take safe sport training. And there's a lot of TOPSoccer players who, whether or not they're going to be able to understand the training. The training could be triggering. The parents may not want them to do it. There is a waiver, and the link below is the waiver to that. And that would need to be, so that gives them an exemption. They do not need to safe sport training. You will need to keep these on file because they're subject to audit by Mass Youth Soccer. So we don't get them, but you need to keep them. And it's very important because this is a requirement of U.S. Center for Safe Sport.
Just for a little context on that, if I could interrupt, Tammy, in the event, we've got folks on the line who are thinking, oh my God, all I want to do is just help some children who would love to play the game of soccer. We get it. These restrictions, requirements, and legislative needs are in place for reasons that none of us had anything to do with at the outset, but we're part of the large organization of youth sport in youth sport associations and organizations across the nation, not just soccer, who are now required to enforce them. And they're there for really good reasons because, of course, as you know, most folks will recall, when the U.S. gymnastics debacle had around, Larry Nassar, it evolved into a cascade of issues with legislation. And so we're glad to now have the infrastructure and structure to ensure that our athletes, our minor athletes, are protected. And so it may seem like some steps and some administrative activity to get to the right place, but we're really glad to be able to get to the right place. And so we appreciate your participation and your support. Those of you who are part of a town-based organization, your organization is already very well aware of all this. And so it's the only nuance is what Tammy just described, which is there's a waiver for TOPS players who are under 18, approaching 18. They don't have to go through the same rigor as those who are over 18, as long as you complete the waiver.
Thank you, Karen. And I'm going to put a link to the waiver in the chat. It's also located on our website under the TOPSoccer. If you go to the TOPSoccer program, it is located on the right-hand side there's a column on the right-hand side with links to different pages. You'll see the waiver information as well as the explanation as to why. Okay, now that I've overwhelmed you with all of that stuff, I'm going to turn this over to John and he can talk about the fun stuff.
Yeah, I'm glad you got rid of all that stuff.
She took one for the team.
Yep, that's
Sorry.
good. So there are a lot of new people on this call, so you probably don't know what Tops Day at the New England Revolution is. People that have been here for years know about it. This is what, 4 years, Karen, now?
Correct. Yep.
4 years. So it was something that was created from a DECA project that was done, and they approached people with Mass Youth Soccer to create a TOPSoccer Day with the Revolution. And the first year was a real big hit. What we did was we got the kids, we sent a link, everybody registered, and they got to play on the field before the game. And then they went from the field up to a box, up to a suite. They got to watch the game in a suite, and the Revolution supplied food at that point for that year. And it was a really good, fun time. So we've made this an annual thing. We have a really good relationship now, Mass Youth Soccer with New England Revolution. And I think Mass Youth Soccer, the Revolution, and Tops all look forward to this day. We've been planning this October 1st thing for a while, trying to get the logistics down for it. Every director, right, of the TOPS programs should have gotten an email yesterday.
Yep.
Just if you didn't see that email, just let Tammy know. but all the directors should have gotten an email. It would have had an explanation of the Tops Day at the Revolution, and it would have had a link in there for them to register. And what we're doing this year is you click on the link to register, and we're giving them until the 19th of September.
The
19th,
18th. The
18th,
registration will close evening of the 18th.
18th to register, and then on the 19th we're going to do a blind drawing, and every kid that is pulled will be able to take a parent, so there'll be 2 tickets, child ticket and the parent ticket, to be in the suite. There'll be stadium seating still available for purchase. I believe, was it everybody that registered was going to be able to go on the field though?
Yeah. So even if they don't win the lottery, if we need to do that, because we only have a set number of tickets for the box, but if you purchase a ticket for your family to go sit in the stadium, if you're a Tops member and you do it through the Tops program, you are invited to participate in the play on the field event that happens prior to the game.
Yeah, so all the directors, did anybody on this call not get that email yesterday?
Paul, you probably didn't get it because it probably went to the person who was the coordinator. So I will resend you the information tonight, and that way you'll have it. But I also put a link in the chat for this. That's the registration link. So if you could, I know a lot of your programs are starting this weekend. If you can get the information out to your families, we obviously want to make sure everybody who wants to attend can attend the event because it's a great day.
It's a phenomenal day. We can't say enough about the partnership with the New England Revolution, being able to be in the stadium, the Gillette Stadium, them giving us the box seats. I think they gave us the DraftKings suite 2 years in a row, which is a really large suite, feeding our players. So it may be a bit of a drive for some folks, depending upon where you live, but it's been a phenomenal event every time we've held it. So we're really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's definitely an event we look forward to, and this year it's even daytime, which is great.
Right, that is true. That's right.
Which we don't usually get, so it doesn't overwhelm our players.
Our players, it's a long day for, as you guys know, with the Tops players. It's a long day when you have to go on the field at 3:30,
right,
wait around for a 7:30 game.
Yeah, Tammy, do you recall, or John, do you recall what time the Revolution game is later that day? That everybody's
kickoff is at 1.
1 o'clock. Great. Oh, it says right there. Okay, great.
Yeah, 11 to 12 on the field, and then we'll head over to the boxes. And the way the Revolution actually were able to give us 2 boxes that are close to the field house, so we don't need too far. And hopefully the tickets will be the same. So it'll be great.
I missed questions, so I apologize. Is this like a normal MYSA night where the parents or the player or whoever would need to purchase the tickets, or is this a free program?
So we have 100 tickets for the box, so that's a player plus a parent. Those tickets are free. If we have more than 50 families that want to attend, then there'll be tickets for purchase like the Mass Youth Soccer Day at the Revs that we just had. So there's also additional tickets so that if somebody in the box wants to, they get their one parent in the box, but they have the other parent and 3 siblings, they can purchase tickets for the seating within the stadium, and they're at a discounted price.
Yep, I think I'll just wait for the email and hold my questions until later. Thank you.
We'll be honest with you. Sometimes the players don't last the whole game.
Yeah.
Okay.
But because they've participated, say, so from 11 to 12, they'll be participating in physical activity. We'll have buddies And we're anticipating we'll be providing most, if not all, the buddies this year through some partnerships with some college or universities. And so the parents truly will get the opportunity to just sit back and watch and enjoy their top soccer player. And then by the time they eat, and then sit down for the game to actually kick off, and the game lasts a couple hours, right? Sometimes they don't make it, but that's up to them. They can leave anytime.
Okay. So yeah, so if you register, it's free if you get into the box, but then you can purchase additional. It's free for the player, but you can purchase additional tickets for.
So if you win, if you register, we're taking all the registrations that come in before the 19th.
Okay.
On the 19th, if there's more than 50 registrations, we're going to have to put, so people don't get shut out of the event if they want to attend. Everybody's name will go into a blind draw, and we'll select the 50 families from the blind draw. The families who don't get selected will get an email with the opportunity to purchase tickets. Because unfortunately, in the past, we've had some families that have gotten shut out of the event because the tickets go so quickly.
Gotcha. 100%. Thank you for explaining that. That makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah. So be on the lookout for more to follow because it will be more detail.
Yep.
And then just real quick, is there wheelchair seating in that box as well?
Yes.
I have a couple of participants who are wheelers.
For sure.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, great.
And if you have a player that cannot sit in the general stadium seating, let me know. We'll work that out also, because I know there's some players that may not be able to handle the stimulation that happens in general stadium seating. So we'll try to work with you on that as well. We really, because it's such a great event, we don't want anybody to get left out. All right, so the next topic is the USYS TOPSoccer grant. This is the 2022-2023 grant program. Some of you may be familiar with this and some may not, but USYS for the last several years has provided grant money for TOPSoccer programs, and it doesn't need to be at the state level. It can be your individual programs to run something special with your program, or just for program costs. It might be for you're a new program, you need to get equipment, something to that effect. Basically, their overall funding level for the grants nationwide is $100,000 with a ceiling amount on each individual, with each individual grant being $1,500. In the past, they've issued the money, and you've had to have it completed. I think it was December or June. And a lot of times people didn't have the time to use the grant. So what they've decided to do this year is to do multiple grant payout dates. So based on when your program is running and when you're going to need the money, that's when they'll pay it out to you, so that you're able to use it and then complete the report on how you spent the money. And it's not 100% buy-in from USYS. Your organization would have to participate by supplying some, covering some of the cost. So if you have a $2,000 program, you say, we're going to put in $500, and we are requesting $1,500 from USYS. If you did apply for this grant in 2021 and 2022 and did not report out on the grant, you will not be eligible to apply for the grant this year. So I would suggest, if that's the case, you may want to get that squared away in advance. I'm not sure if that would change if you submitted it now or not. The application will be distributed to us on September 15th, at which point I will distribute it out to all of you to submit your applications. I highly suggest taking advantage of it. I mean, running these programs can be costly, so I'm sure every little penny counts.
Pete, anything else you'd want to add on this topic?
Yeah, one of the prerequisites for this year will be that a club asking for a grant, applying for a grant, will have to have registered players with their state organization. It's not a problem in Massachusetts, but it's a problem in just about every other state. So that's just one thing. If you're going to apply for the grant, make sure your registration is in with the state organization. And with the way you guys have it set up, it shouldn't be any problem for anybody within Mass.
That's a really good point, though, because as we're driving programs and reminding them, or Tammy is anyways, as you heard in earlier this evening, to do just that, make sure that your players are registered with Mass Youth, as well as your buddies, your coordinators, and coaches. That's a good point, Pete. That's part of the eligibility requirement.
Well, that actually came down from USYS, that they, looking for a little more accountability, and that was one way to kind of hang a carrot in front of some of these states where nobody's registered.
Okay.
Okay, another reason to get your players registered, folks.
Right.
Exactly.
Thanks, Pete. And the last thing I think I have to talk about tonight is the update on the jerseys that we talked about last spring. Our hope was that we were going to distribute uniform jerseys to our programs so that we had a consistent look for our TOPS programs across the state. So a couple of things happened from that point. We're all ready to go with our vendor, and we at Mass Youth Soccer renewed signed a new apparel contract with a new vendor that will start in November of this year. So because of that, we've decided we were not able to supply the jerseys as we promised for this fall. We have decided to hold off, and we will definitely supply them for the spring. We're finalizing the uniforms now, so I don't have a lot of information as far as that goes, but they will be distributed through soccer.com. We had talked about a fanware site through Score in the spring. Taking that down, our fanware site, which is being worked on, should be up, I hope, in the next week or two. It will be directly through soccer.com. For any of you who ordered stuff through Score, you'll know that their shipping was really high. The prices on the apparel was great and the shipping times, but the shipping was high, cost was high, and it took a long time. You will not find that with soccer.com because, they run obviously an e-commerce site that's open to the public, and this is just what they do. So that aspect will be better. But what I need from everybody, I had sent out an email probably about a month ago at this point, requesting a forecast for your spring players. Now I know that's a lot to ask when you're trying to get your fall squared away, but for me, I need to give the forecast to soccer.com to ensure that they have the stock on hand when we go ahead and get it ordered this winter for the spring. There's a Google sheet, and thank you to the 3 organizations that did follow my request and filled it in. But if you guys, I know even if you use your fall numbers, it's a start and it helps me. It doesn't have to be exact. It's just a starting point for soccer.com to ensure that they have enough stock of whatever uniform shirt we choose, so that there's no back orders from spring.
I'll just throw a plug in here. Tammy was being kind and when she jokingly said the 3 organizations, but she's right. These are uniforms that, despite what your players may be currently wearing and how the monikers on them represent them for your particular town-based organization, or perhaps they're wearing something entirely different. This is all part of the collaborative effort for us to have our TOPSoccer programs statewide have some visibility, uniformity, and equity. And so supplying uniforms for those programs is part of that effort. And so it's really kind of an appeal to all of you to help us get that off the ground, because here's what's going to happen. The first TOPSoccer program wearing these uniforms that's covered in any way, shape, or form in any social media environment, all the other TOPSoccer programs who didn't respond and complete the Google Sheet with the forecasting in order to be able to have uniforms are going to say, hey, where'd they get those? Look at that. They've got the TOPSoccer logo. They've got the Mass Youth Soccer logo. Those are nice and they match and they're going for every play. Well, how do I get that? So we're really asking for your help to do what everybody's going to want to do anyways. It's getting probably lost in the shuffle of everybody's everyday requirements between work and their volunteerism.
Exactly. Thanks, Karen. And I know there's a lot of emails come flying, especially from our end, so it's easy to miss. So I'm gonna put that Google link in here into the chat as well. So you'll have the link to just fill in the numbers. Again, it's just a projection. I'm not holding you to it. Obviously, I don't want you to project 100 players if you only have 20.
Right.
But as close as possible, and you should have a good understanding at this point of what you have for the fall, or you're getting to that point so you can plug in the numbers. If I can get those in the next couple of weeks, that would be helpful. I think that's it. Does anybody have questions on that?
So be on the lookout for follow-up emails, and if it's on any and all of these topics, your prompt response would be appreciated, because we're really just trying to do what's best for your programs and the kids in your programs. So now we want to take just a few minutes and inquire. Heard during the introductions that some folks are starting new programs, some folks are back to square one because their kids have aged out, and perhaps volunteers as well. Others are entering maybe not the first season, but a subsequent fairly recent season. So they're possibly have different challenges. And really, we want to know, how can we help? What's the best use of our time and effort and resources in order to best support you in your program? So feel free to unmute and let us know what's the best thing that we can do for you. We're happy to come out. Sorry, go ahead.
I had kind of just a general question. So if I'm going to have 20 participants, and we had an event tonight, actually, while this was happening. One of the other parents is helping out. We had 21 buddies register. We just wanted to give an information, a breakdown, let the community know what we're looking for with the program. But so for 20 kids, what is a good number of buddies to have? Because I know one of the participants, one of the little athletes, she had 2 buddies, and we did a Natix program last season. So is it like 30 a good number? Do you keep extras just in case?
Does anyone who's been running a program for a while want to take that? Because anybody can answer that, and it might be slightly different, but probably all start with the same base answer.
Well, I usually have like 2 or 3 extra, just to cover, because work or something's going to happen where the volunteers don't show up, and that's my number. I usually just go like 2 or 3.
I never limit my volunteers. We always find something for them to do. I never want to turn them away because I don't want to lose them. I usually have the luxury of the high school team being able to help out. So I usually get the boys varsity team and the girls varsity team from KP that usually volunteer to help. And I never say no to them. So there'll be some weeks that every kid will have 3 buddies with them, and they love it because they have little 4v4s with the kids. So so that's the way we've always run program. I take whatever I can get for volunteers and never leave anybody behind.
Ben, just an offer if you're interested. Don't mean to interrupt what you may already have underway, but if they're all new buddies and don't have any experience and you're looking for someone because you don't necessarily feel like you can kind of train them yourself, but you're looking for a resource or some support either on your first session day or to train them in advance of the session, a good, kind of half-hour crash course. Those are things that we can also help you with.
Okay, no, I appreciate that. Definitely. I do have a couple of physical education teachers that are going to help out with coaching. Some PTs have stepped up to help out. So a lot of the adults aren't registered yet, but that 21 was just some youth from the community, and we've only put the word out like a week ago. So hopefully even more come out. And then when it comes to like permitting for a city, if there's 50 that can be like, I think the Tops has a 50 max. That doesn't include the buddies on the field, right? That's just the athletes participating, or is that everyone that's on the field?
The permitting for the field, you're experiencing maximum capacity limits that are going to impact your program, you think, or you're just kind of planning?
I'm asking because I don't know. When I grew up, my father ran the little league and the basketball leagues and everything, and I was peripheral to that. But this is my first dipping of my toe in this sort of.
Happy to defer to anybody else. I'd be surprised if, well, two things will happen. If you because you're first starting out a program, you may want to limit yourself. So keep it controllable, keep it manageable in either your whole first season or at least the first couple of weeks. So then maybe you open up membership again or registration again. But as far as maximum capacity, if your field size is say a 7v7 field, you're going to know, you've got coaching experience, you're going to know when you max out on that size field. But if you've got 20 players and 20 buddies, believe it or not, 40 people on a 7v7 field is not going to feel quite as crowded as you think it is.
Okay.
But you're getting close to needing a 9v9 or maybe even 11v11 as those numbers grow. Any other thoughts on that? What other kind of questions do folks have or needs or requests that we can help with?
Those shirts, would that need to be done season by season?
No, so the hope is, well, the uniform cycle is a two-year cycle, so we would supply you with a few new ones every year. Work out a system for that, but our initial distribution should last. And the way the Tops players tend to continue year after year, they would most likely be able to keep the shirts unless they grow out of them, obviously.
Right, yeah, because like if we have 15 coaches this season, and then next season we have the same number, but 10 new ones. Would we need to
players, right?
No, well,
because the shirts are for the players.
Okay.
But so yeah, what you're gonna do is give me a projection now for the spring. That should carry you over into the following year. But if you have new players that come on, we will supply new shirts as we go forward. It's not going to be a one-time thing, but I'm hoping that the existing players will keep the shirts, for the following year, unless they grow out of them. So I would say size up, if you can.
Right. Okay. All right. So the shirts are for the players. If the volunteers 1-on-1, so they're identical, would they?
The buddy, we will be providing buddy t-shirts.
Okay, right.
Or putty shirts. We talked about that also in the spring. It would be a player shirt and a buddy shirt.
Okay. All right.
But
Yeah.
we're trying to finalize all of that information now. I'm my biggest concern right now is the uniform shirts. The
Okay.
buddy shirts are something we can work through
Yeah.
a little quicker.
Okay. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I put mine in.
Okay.
So Tammy, in the time remaining, do you want to just rattle through our last slide?
Yep. I just wanted to put out some resources that are available to you to answer some of your questions. Obviously, I am always here to answer your questions. Karen and John are available. If you come to me, and a lot of times I'll defer to John and Karen because they are the experts, and they're always very helpful. So some of the resources available to you are the Mass Youth Soccer website. Is a place I would start. There's a lot of great information there. I know that can seem a little daunting to look where you need to, but you have your risk management information, your registration information, all the information on the TOPSoccer programs are listed there, as well as the recordings from the workshops we did last spring, which were full of information. This recording will be posted there. So you can always go back and watch them and review any information that you may have missed, or if you had questions on them. You'll also, another link here is the USYS TOPSoccer Activity Guide, is a link so you can find suggested activities for your practices if you're not sure what to do with some of your new programs, or even if you're an existing program, if you want some new ideas. There's also a link here for a document on understanding athletes with disabilities that are great to share with some of your buddies and your coach volunteers who may not necessarily have worked with athletes with disabilities before. And this is some good reference information. And watch Mojo. Mojo is a site that we have actually our Mass Youth Soccer session plans are there, and they you can see them in small video clips. Now I know TOPSoccer activities may not always look like your average soccer practice, but there are some things there that you can do with the TOPSoccer players, and it's a good reference. Our session plans are also located on our website, but they're on Mojo. They're in video form, so they're a little easier to digest. And I think that those are pretty helpful.
Yeah, they are very helpful. Thank you, Tammy, for including those as well. And if any of you, I'll just repeat Tammy's offer because we like to offer Tammy up.
I'm here for.
Have any questions? She's extremely responsive, helpful, resourceful. She has been around long enough to know lots of people and things. So if she doesn't happen to know the answer, she knows where to go to get it. And so again, we can't thank Tammy enough for bringing all of her elements of skills and abilities to TOPSoccer, because it's going to help us catapult what we already have, which is a great foundation of the number of programs, and help bring some semblance of consistency across Massachusetts. Thank you all.
And thank you all for all the hard work that you've put in, and you getting your new programs started and existing programs, keeping them running.
Right. Best of luck to all of you this fall season. Looking forward to hearing perhaps in a off-season session any things that we can apply for the spring.
Great.
Pete, thanks for joining us, and you all have a fantastic night.
My pleasure.